All right, everyone, welcome. We're going to get started. Good morning. Welcome to Bring Your Own Large Language Models to Agentforce and Data Cloud. My name is Daryl Martis. I'm a Director of Product here at Salesforce working on Agentforce. First off, coffee on us. If you provide feedback on this session, we'll provide you a $5 Starbucks gift card. So definitely take a picture of this and please do provide your feedback. Great. This is a reminder, I'm sure you've seen these slides many times before. Salesforce is a publicly traded company, so please make purchasing decisions made on currently available products and services. First off, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our Ohana. Very grateful to have you all over here and good to see some familiar faces as well. Like I said, my name is Daryl Martis. I have been at Salesforce for over 3.5 years working on a lot of the AI and agentic AI products. All right, so let's start a little bit with the problem statement here. So the current limitations, what are the current limitations of Salesforce LLMs, the ones that we provide, right? So the ones that we provide, essentially, when we provide them, we go through the prompt template. There are LLM providers, but we are limited to certain LLM providers, right? And sometimes you have less control over a lot of your compliance needs if we just provide you our own LLMs or the ones that we partner with. And it is not necessarily extensible directly to newer LLMs. We take some time, for example, in order to provide them. We do provide them as quickly as we can, but sometimes the market moves quicker. You've made investments sometimes in other LLMs, and we want to be able to match that. And sometimes some of these LLMs that we provide are specific to a lot of customers. You know, they're more generic, and they can't necessarily be optimized for your specific business needs. So to help you with that, we have introduced a product called Bring Your Own Large Language Model. What that means is that we will go, you've made your investments in certain large language models in your company. How do we bring that into Salesforce? How do you bring that into Agentforce, into Data Cloud? You can do that now with Bring Your Own Large Language Models. You can bring in your LLM investments directly into Salesforce. And these are, of course, for your own business needs. For example, you fine-tuned a certain model and you want to use that within Salesforce context, whether it's Flow, Apex, any of these, you can bring that in. Extensible to newer LLMs, which I'll talk about using the open connector, and you have more control over your specific compliance needs, for example. So all of that is possible with Bring Your Own LLM. First off, let me talk about Model Builder. Model Builder is a product within Data Cloud. It allows you to do 3 specific things. Number 1, it allows you to create your own predictive models within Salesforce. So you can create your own predictive models, for example, propensity to buy, cross-sell, any of those kinds of predictive models directly within Salesforce, and you can use Flow, Apex, any of the other Salesforce tools that you know and love. You can bring in your own predictive model. What that means is that, let's say you have a predictive model that's running on AWS SageMaker, on Google Vertex, you can bring in the inferences from that model directly into Salesforce using BYOM. And let's say you have your own LLMs that you have with, let's say, a Gemini model or a model on Bedrock, and you want to bring in your own instance or bring in the inferences from that into Salesforce. That's where you can use BYO LLM. You can use it from Model Builder or Einstein Studio, as it was erstwhile called. Now, Bring Your Own LLM specifically allows you to integrate, like I said, your own LLMs anywhere within the Salesforce platform. These are some of the initial connections that we initially had. So you could bring in your OpenAI model initially, then we allowed Azure OpenAI, then Gemini and Claude. Now we also have an open connector. What that means is that we are flexible to any LLM. Let's say you have a certain LLM running on let's say your own machine or any other interface. You can bring that into Salesforce as well. So, an example here, let me talk a little bit more, is that you can seamlessly integrate any of the other models, for example, IBM Granite as well, Mistral, any of these models. You can bring that into Salesforce, and you can surface that within Prompt Builder and any of the custom Agentforce actions. So let's say you bring in a certain model that surfaces within Prompt Builder itself, and I'll show you a demo of that in a little bit. You can use that within any of the Agentforce custom Agentforce actions, and of course, a lot of this is underpinned by the trust layer. So our Einstein trust layer is part of our gateway. It is always there. What it allows you to do is that any PII information is masked before it is sent out to any large language model. So, for example, a request that comes in through a prompt template goes through the trust layer, and it masks any of the information that is sensitive towards yourself, like names, addresses, social security numbers, credit card numbers, and it masks all of that. It looks for toxicity, it looks for any bias detection. All of that is done within the trust layer. So you don't have to worry about all of that. Any calls that are going out to an LLM, whether it be Salesforce model, any of those models, and bring your own large language models, all of those pass through the trust layer. Now, this is our overall, our platform architecture. I'd encourage you to take a picture if you'd like. This is essentially how the layer cake works. You know, you have Data Cloud here with all of the different features here. You can bring in your own lake. We also have the zero copy innovation that we've done with all of these partners. We have model agility here. We have Salesforce provided models, whether it be from our research teams or anyone else that we have. Over here, you can bring in your own models. We have the trust layer, which includes secure data retrieval, data dynamic grounding, data masking, like I mentioned, toxicity detection, auditing. And you have these other tools over here. Like I mentioned, there's model builder, prompt builder, agent builder to create your own agents, RAG, monitoring governance. Agentforce, of course, you know, the UI sits on top of all of this, and that, of course, integrates with all of our Customer 360, with all of the products that you have. So Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, Commerce Cloud, all of these integrate within the ecosystem itself. Now, I'm going to show you some architectural patterns for these LLMs, right? So I'll talk about three in the order of, first I'm going to talk about Salesforce managed models. So let's say we have some Salesforce managed models over here. Let's say there are some Hugging Face models, or there are some Salesforce models from research that we provide directly within our trust boundaries. So what is happening here is that Agentforce is making a call, and it uses a certain Agentforce action, a custom action that, or any sort of action that goes, let's say, through a prompt template and goes through the secure gateway, like I mentioned. That includes the trust layer, and it includes all of that that's incorporated as part of this gateway. It goes to the Salesforce managed model within our trust boundary, within Salesforce, and that response comes back. It is hosted within Salesforce over here, like I mentioned. So these models are within Salesforce. The response comes back quickly. We mask it again. Even though it is within Salesforce, we still mask it and demask it, and then we provide the response back. So this comes quickly to back into Agentforce. So that's number one, a Salesforce managed model. Let's say we have a Salesforce managed external model. What that means is that we have this shared trust boundary with certain providers, right? So let's say with OpenAI or Azure OpenAI, again, a request from Agentforce goes through to the prompt template, goes to this gateway again. The gateway is always there. It goes outside of the Salesforce trust boundary, but it goes into the shared trust boundary. What that means is that we have certain understanding with these companies that there's no retention of data, that there's zero eyes on the data, so none of that is there, so you can trust that the data is secure. And the response that comes back goes through the gateway again. We demask the information, look for toxicity in any of the responses, send it back, and send it back through to Agentforce, okay? So that is number two. And now, the third is bring your own large language model. So let's say you have your own model that lives elsewhere. You have a certain Agentforce is over here. It is sending out this response using a custom model, using custom action and custom model here. Goes through the gateway, goes out to your own, whether it's living on AWS, on Azure, on GCP, on OpenAI. It goes over here, and the response that comes back again goes through and does data masking, demasking, all of the same things that we that I've showed you in the previous slides. So that is an example of all three different types of architectural patterns for LLMs within Salesforce. Now, like I mentioned, we are an open and extensible platform, so we have a lot of different models that we have natively. We allow you to do custom prompts with certain models here. We have global data residency for Azure OpenAI services, so models that are within the United States go out to requests that go within the United States go out to an open AI server, but then outside the United States goes to an Azure OpenAI server. That allows for global, to meet all of your global needs. And like I mentioned, you can bring your own LLM, whether it be from OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, Bedrock, Vertex, and you can bring in your own predictive model as well. So we've partnered with AWS, with Vertex, and with Databricks as well. So all of these are GA and are available for you to use. So let me give a quick demo here of bring your own large language model. So let's say we go to Data Cloud. So within Data Cloud itself, you can go to Einstein Studio and you can say you would like to add a certain model. So you go into, let's say, models, you go to predictive model or generative model. By the way, Einstein Studio is also model builder. It is, it's the same product. So you can see here all of the different configurations that you have here. And if you click on add a foundation model, what that will do is it will bring you to this screen. In this screen, you can say, I want to connect to an Azure OpenAI model, a OpenAI model, Vertex model, Bedrock, and this is for the open connector. I'll show you the open connector in a little while, but let's say you have a Claude model that's running on Bedrock. You click on that and you click Next. What will happen is that you will provide the name, you'll give a certain name to the endpoint. You can name it anything you would like, and you give it the access key and the AWS credentials that you have. So you'll provide all of that information and you'll provide the name of the model as well. So you can provide all of that over here. This is an example from a previous example here, Claude test. I provided the access key, the credentials, the region where it was running, and you can say whether it's a fine-tuned model or not. And once you've done that, you can use that model now. You can test it, and you can also test it. You can also create. Let's say you click on edit. You can also test it out. You can see here these are the credentials that were created, and I've put it in earlier. But you can also then test this model out. You can search for the model here, or you can use the search functionality over here. And once that's available, you can click and you can also go to create a prompt template over here. So within the prompt template, you can say that this model that I have brought in, you can create a new prompt template, and then you can choose that certain model that you've brought in and use that within Salesforce itself. So these are all the models. These are some example models that we brought in using BYO LLM. So Azure BYO LLM, for example, create a prompt template here. You can do that. You can edit the details. There are others as well. OpenAI models, Azure OpenAI models, all of these different models that are available over here, all within Salesforce. So if you would like to create a predictive model, you can say add a predictive model as well. This session is more about bring your own LLM, but I just wanted to show you that this is another possibility here. You can add a predictive model. You can have your own retrievers and create your own retrievers over here directly within Einstein Studio. And model library is more like an overarching view of all of the different models that you have, the different configurations. Once you bring in a model, you can have multiple different configurations of that model as well. So the configurations live within the models page, but the overarching view of your model not just the configurations, just the models itself, live within model library. Now, let's say you have, let's say you would like to use a Bedrock model and you want to use that within Lightning. Let's say you want to have a certain component within Salesforce that calls Bedrock using BYO LLM, and you wanted to summarize certain listings or certain opportunities that you have within Salesforce. So in order to do that, this is an example over here. It's very similar to what I've shown you earlier. You have your case summary and you use it, it goes through this certain trust layer, through the prompt template, and goes through the Einstein Studio. You've registered the model within Bedrock, and you've done all of this stuff, which I've just shown you right now. Here's an example. You go set it up, number one, in Amazon Bedrock. You go over there, you've created a certain model. Then you go and say, I want to connect to Amazon Bedrock. And you provide the credentials like I've shown you. You provide those credentials over here. You go into the model builder, and you can set the configurations. And you choose the model that you've created over here, including the capability. And you can change the temperature settings as well. So there are some advanced settings that you can do. You can test out over here with the prompt and the response. You can generate that to test it out. And once that's done, you can create a prompt template, and by clicking on prompt template over there. And once you've created a prompt template over here, let's say you have created one for field generation, you can go in there and then pull in the model that you've created and the configuration. And the prompt template itself, you can, within Prompt Builder, you can bring in other associated information that we call that dynamic grounding. What that means is that you can say, I want to bring in all of the associated accounts, all of the associated opportunities within a certain account. So once you create that, you can test it out within this preview over here. It will resolve to bring in any of the information. So tell me about my open cases for my account, and you say these are where my accounts are and where the opportunities are, and that will show you what the actual prompt is as well as what the actual response is. And that is calling the model that you've brought in. So let's say this Bedrock model with Claude, it is brought in here and you've tested it out, and using Lightning you can use that prompt template that you just created, and you can use that, you can create a button, and it will summarize essentially using BYO LLM. So again, what this does is that it will go out, it will take all of the information using the prompt template, it will go into, it will use your Bedrock model that you brought in via BYO LLM and summarize any of the opportunities that you've created. So that is just one example of how you can use this. And I will show you a quick demo of Open Connector as well. So the Open Connector here within Salesforce is you go and click on add a foundation model, and you go down here and say connect to your LLM. Once you've done that, you will see that this information is very similar to what you've had earlier, but in this case, you will need to provide the full URL of where your model lives, because we don't know whether it is on Azure, on Bedrock, etc. So that's the one major change. We provide key-based and OAuth-based authentication as well. So that's, and you can provide the name of the model as well. It could be your own model. This is an optional field. So you can create, let's say you create your own LLM, you can bring that and you host it, you can bring that in. We need to know the token limit as well, because we need to know on our back end what are the maximum number of tokens that can be sent out. So if it's too much, that there's a certain a limit, but the limit is pretty high. So we need to know what the actual token limit is of the model that you're bringing in if you use Open Connector. Okay. And so what's next for BYO LLM? So with BYO LLM, we are going to have GPT 4.0 with OpenAI and Azure OpenAI. So you can bring in specific LLMs into the planner service. And this is new. Right now, our planner service is tied in with one model, but now starting in May of this year, you'll be able to bring in a GPT-4o model within OpenAI or Azure OpenAI. Now, these are forward-looking, these are products that we have on the timeline for May, but I want to remind you of the statement I had earlier, the forward-looking statement. So we plan for May for GPT-4o within the planner service itself. You can bring in Anthropic in May as well, Sonnet 3.7 into the planner service. And use it within standard actions. Remember, all that I've shown you so far, you can use with custom actions with Agentforce. But now, starting in May, you'll be able to use it within the standard actions itself. And Gemini as well will come in summer or fall of this year, and you can use that within the Agentforce Planner service. So the Planner service essentially plans what needs to be done next and then reasons on that as well. So those are the newer innovations that we're bringing into Salesforce as part of our Agentforce service. So with that, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much for being here. If you do have questions, please come up to the front and speak to the mic. And with that, thank you very much, and looking forward to your questions. So.